My Lords, this debate's been a pleasure. It's been entertaining. One can't often say that about debates in your Lordship's house. And it's a pleasure to follow the noble lady Baroness Crawley, who's outlined the progress that has been made, but she also did mention that progress has been glacial. And I don't want to bring the mood down too far, but I would like to outline some of the problems that we still have in society. All of your Lordships know, I'm sure, that society is still extremely unequal when it comes to women's place. And therefore, we do still have a long way to go. And I'm going to make some suggestions about how we can speed up that process. A lot of your noble lords have quoted people today, and I would like to quote Theresa May, who said, "There are women who gave up their lives to have the right to vote in this country, and people who yearn across the world to have this freedom, and so we should use it." Which is absolutely true, of course. We are incredibly lucky here that we've got as far as we have. But if we really valued the vote, we'd make sure that elections were fair and not stitched up by an archaic voting system. We need a system of proportional representation for both houses of Parliament. In bodies where that's used, more women are elected. As the noble Lady Gale said at the very start, in the National Assembly for Wales, just over 2/5, 42% are women. In the Scottish Parliament, just over 1/3, 35% of members are women. In the Northern Ireland Assembly, 30% of members are women. And of course, following the 2014 European Parliament elections, women are 41% of UK MEPs. An elected second chamber using a system of fair votes would transform this House, where only a quarter of the peers are women. And we keep talking about this figure of 489 women who've been elected so far to the other place. And let's remember, they would still not fill all the available seats. We are still hugely unrepresented. Of course, the Green Party parliamentarians are 100% women, but then there are only 2 of us. Plus, whatever take you have on the results of the European referendum, where every single vote counted, wherever it was cast, it showed that if you give people a say, if you give them a vote that's going to mean something, they can be very political indeed, as citizens who feel that they can be genuine agents for change or not. Here in the UK, we don't have the state arresting women and torturing them by force feeding. We don't have that anymore. But we do have undercover police invading the lives of innocent women and using them in a systematic attempt to get information about campaigners. Those women were lied to, and there were even children born of those liaisons. The Spy Cops case is once again in the High Court today. At 9 o'clock this morning, I was standing outside the High Court protesting about the case, where the Met are blocking every move that they possibly can to hide the identities of the police officers, and the Met still refuse to see the illegality of their position and their actions. We also have example after example of online trolls hounding and abusing women. It does seem mostly to happen to women. Anonymous rape and death threats are not pleasant and must be taken very seriously. In America, the Me Too campaign has highlighted the systematic abuse of women by powerful men, including their president, condemned by his own boastful words. And here in the UK last month, we had the President's Club fiasco, showing that the Me Too campaign and the Time's Up campaign is vital for us here in the UK as well. And of course, we've had this week, or over the weekend, reports of Freemasons here in Parliament, of men, journalists, parliamentarians, staff, a male bastion of privilege and cosy, women-excluding creepiness that I can't even imagine. Freemasonry records show New Welcome Lodge, set up for MPs, peers and parliamentary staff, and Gallery Lodge for the political press corps, both remain active, according to The Guardian. Apparently, New Welcome Lodge had about 30 to 40 members, of whom only around 4 were understood to be MPs, while none is a peer. Well done, gentlemen. And of course, the WASPy women, another classic case of inequality and injustice that we really ought to be discussing more. In 1913, Emmeline Pankhurst said that the vote would create equality for women, and of course we all know now that's not the case. It did open up the possibility of equality if women choose to make their self-interest a priority on interests like pay and childcare. And that tells you a lot about society that we live in, that it still has to be mostly women who actually speak out on those issues. And of course, then there's always, when we talk about women's equality, there's always the Thatcher and May question. Isn't it great to see women in positions of power? And strong women have emerged in recent years, and they have had to struggle against the odds in their parties. Not in the Green Party, obviously. But having Arlene Foster as leader of the DUP doesn't make it a force for liberal politics and feminism. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have different people and different types, of course, but I would like different role models to be considered inspiring for young women. For example, like Caroline Lucas, who I think would be a much better Prime Minister than Theresa May, or Nicola Sturgeon in Scotland, or Leanne Wood of Plaid Cymru. There are 10 male lords speaking in this debate today, and I would like to congratulate them. I shall listen very carefully to what they have to say. And it's obvious that we can't do it all. Women can't do it all on our own. We have to have the support of men, so that's incredibly important. I would like to congratulate them for standing up today. I'd like to finally close with a last word from the Local Government Association. They have a Be a Councillor campaign, and they work with councils, political parties, individuals and talent spotters to encourage more people to stand as local councillors. And they say it's important that the local government reflects the community it represents. And I couldn't emphasise that enough. And so the Be a Councillor campaign includes a focus on encouraging women and underrepresented groups to engage with and enter politics. So as far as we've come, my lords, we still have a long way to go, and I think things like this debate will enable us to see a more equal society.